Welcome back to MacBreak Studio. I'm Mark. Here's Steve. We're talking about Final Cut Pro 10 and GarageBand.
Well, GarageBand or Logic.
Or Logic, okay.
Right. This tip I'm going to show today is a result of a lot of people wondering about those sidebars in Final Cut Pro 10.3.
Okay. Well, it used to be the browsers or these sidebars.
These sidebars, like what shows up there. And if you look on YouTube right now, I have this page up. A couple of weeks ago, I produced a Final Cut Pro 10 under 5 called Custom Audio Folders.
Right.
So you can add custom audio folders to the sound effects browser.
Add your own material in there.
Yeah. Add your own material. Now, I'm going to jump into Final Cut to point out the browsers over here. You have, your Photos browser, there's your Logic Pro, GarageBand, and a lot of people are under the mistaken notion that, for example, Logic Pro and GarageBand, all the loops should appear here. They don't, okay?
They don't.
They never have, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I don't recall them every loop showing up there. I could be wrong, but so the question is, well, what actually shows up here? And that's all the purpose of this MacBreak.
What does show up there and how can you use it?
Exactly.
Great.
Okay, so I'm going to look at two types of files that show up in these sidebars. One are files that you can't edit and files that you can edit. Okay, that's the thing.
Okay.
So the first thing is, how would I get my loops to show up in one of these sidebars? Because I want my loops to show up. What do I do? Well, iTunes is a very effective way to get your loops from either Logic or GarageBand to show up.
Okay.
So I'm going to jump into GarageBand and I'm going to create an empty project. I'm going to create a rhythm or a drummer project here. And I have a very simple 2-region drummer project here. And just to keep things simple, I'm going to get rid of that region here. And I'm just going to make a what GarageBand calls a cycle region. Okay. And if you select the region, you have the ability to change it. Now this is no drummer. This is Kyle. Okay. And I'm just going to make a quick change to it. I'm going to choose, say I'm going to use this mixtape one. And then I'm going to make a couple of changes to it. I'm going to add some more cymbals. I'm going to bring down the number of fills. Maybe add some more kick and snare. So I'm just altering it. You can see.
Yeah.
Right?
The drummer.
Fantastic.
Piece of GarageBand is actually great.
Well, that's a loop now, right?
Yes.
I could use that in Final Cut Pro if I wanted to use that little piece and keep looping or what have you. So here's the deal. When I go to the share menu, I have some options. Song to iTunes. So this is the first option if you want to send a loop, just a loop, over to Final Cut. So I'm going to choose Send iTunes. You'll get a window up, and you can name it. And let's say that. Let's call this Steve's Drummer. Okay. You can create a playlist. You can say drum loops. So I'm going to create a custom playlist. Right?
Okay.
Now, I don't need any other metadata. I could put my name in there if I wanted. And I'm going to go ahead and click Share. And it just shared just that region. Okay.
Bounced it.
Bounced it. Yes. So now look what happened. It automatically opened inside iTunes.
It launches iTunes. It brings you right to that playlist and shows you the song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Say, look at playlist drum loops. Steve's Drummer. It's right there.
Perfect. Right.
Now back into Final Cut Pro. I like to refresh these. Sometimes you have to refresh it by clicking.
on it again.
So if I go to iTunes, up here at this pop-up here, you'll notice there's your playlist drum loops.
Okay.
Okay. And there
it is.
Is my Steve Drummer drum loop.
Yep. Perfect.
Okay. Perfect. So far, so good.
Very easy to get to. Okay.
Now, let's look at the second method. Now, you're not going to edit this particular file. It's already saved in iTunes as an, AIF or what have you. I'm going to go back to GarageBand. And I'm going to open a completely different movie. Now, this is what's called a project. And I made this in GarageBand a few days ago. I'm going to open this up. And I'm not going to save that particular one. So here is a little project I created with
built a whole project with multiple tracks.
Right, I've got multiple tracks. I'm going to play a little bit of it just so you can hear it.
Steve the Mix Master.
Okay, so you get the general idea, right?
I got an idea.
All right. Now, I need to get this into Final Cut. So I'm going to go up to the Share menu, and this is the option, Song to Media Browser.
Song to Media Browser, okay.
And it's the same command in Logic Pro 10 as well.
Okay.
So same one. So I'm going to choose Song to Media Browser, and it's going to bounce it out, which it just did. And I'm going to jump back into Final Cut. And I'm going to refresh. Now this time I'm going to go to GarageBand. And there is that Doghouse Funk track.
Because it put it in the media browser.
Put it in the media browser.
Anything you save to the media browser will show up right in GarageBand here. Okay?
Right. Now, just so you can see this, if I choose Reveal in Finder.
Yeah. Did you right-click to do that?
I right-clicked.
Yeah.
Right. What did it just take me to? The GarageBand folder inside my music folder.
Okay.
Right? And I already have it open, but there it is.
Yep.
It's pointing to a live
it's actually a project.
It's
actually
a project. Yes.
Okay.
So let's make a change. I'm going to go ahead and mute. Maybe I don't want that drum range. I'm just going to turn off those first two measures.
Okay.
So it's just the drummer track.
Okay. And then save that?
You don't save.
Don't save.
What you do is you go Share, Song to Media Browser.
Oh. So you send it out, you bounce it out again.
Right, you bounce it out again.
So it's not, it's bouncing out an actual file, but it's also saving the project file?
Yeah, you save the project. Yeah,
So it's actually not bouncing out like an AIFF or anything. You're actually saving the project file in this case. Okay.
Now, here's one thing I don't particularly like. I said before you can refresh this, and nothing's happening. So in order for it to show up, unfortunately, you have to quit Final Cut.
And restart it?
And restart. For this, yes.
Okay.
The assumption is you're working in GarageBand for a while, and the next time you launch Final Cut, it'll be there. Now, if you look here,
I can see the waveform's different right away.
Waveform's different right away. So.
Yep. You totally cut that part out.
Right.
Okay. So it's live. That's editable.
Right. Point is, you could send loops or other content. If you use the share to iTunes, you're essentially bouncing off an AIF file.
And if you create a playlist, it'll be available in that pop-up menu at the top right.
That's right. Oh, there's one other thing that should be worth noting.
Okay.
If I take this file, this Doghouse Funk mix that I did, and I drag this into any event like this, okay?
Yes.
And what essentially happens is that Final Cut Pro burns it into that state. It basically mixes it down.
It's making an action. If you reveal that in Finder, will it go to the same project or will it go to something different?
Let's find out. It actually goes to a file that's inside my music library.
Inside the library. So it actually created a file at that point.
It created a file.
Wow, interesting.
So really important to know that, because now, if for some reason I go back and open up this and go back to editing it,
the actual project,
I'm not going to lose my changes as long as you'll have
that version. Okay, so if you want to keep that version, you can drag it into your library.
That's right.
And it's kind of like making a snapshot.
It's kind of like it's exactly correct.
Wow.
Right. So
very interesting.
Yeah. So I spent some time really playing with all the ways that you can play with creating songs and sending them over to Final Cut Pro.
And being able to use Final Cut's browser as the interface to be able to access music you create, music you've got from other people, etc.
That's right.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, guys, for watching RippleTraining.com. We'll be back here next week. Thank you for watching MacBreak Studio.